you've made it this far. But the biggest question is just beginning. Welcome to Finding God Through Math, Introduction Part 3, the final part of the introductory chapter. In Part 1, we saw the order in the universe. In Part 2, we discovered the number 1 as the foundation of all that exists. But now, the question that will change everything. If the number 1 is a mirror of the Absolute, then who is the Absolute? Is he merely a natural law running without consciousness? Or is he the conscious creator, the one who established those laws with deliberate purpose? This is no longer just about mathematics. This is about the meaning of existence itself. And if you dare to continue this journey, you will discover that our search for mathematics is ultimately a search for the grand mathematician. Are you ready? 6. Philosophy of the number 1 in life and spirituality. Before time existed, there was only the one. This sentence is not mystical poetry, it is a logical consequence of modern cosmology. The Big Bang Theory teaches that time itself began 13.8 billion years ago. Before that, the concept of before had no meaning, because time did not yet exist. There was no before the Big Bang, in a temporal sense. There was only an atemporal condition, a state beyond time. Physicists like Stephen Hawking and James Hartle developed the no-boundary proposal, a hypothesis that the universe has no beginning in the temporal sense, because at the singularity, time and space merged in ways we cannot visualize. In this condition, there is no before and after, no here and there, only unity without differentiation. And from this unity, the ripples of existence emanate. In the first 10 to the power of 4 cubed seconds, Planck time, the singularity experienced quantum fluctuations. The phase of cosmic inflation began. Space expanded faster than light, carrying with it the seeds of order, microscopic energy fluctuations that would later become galaxies, stars, planets, and life. Physicist Alan Guth, discoverer of cosmic inflation theory, described it as an explosion of homogeneity into heterogeneity, from one into many. However, this many is not random fragmentation. The entire universe remains connected. This is not a metaphor, but a quantum fact. The phenomenon of quantum entanglement, proven by experiments by Alan Aspect, 1982, and John Clauser, 2022 Nobel laureate, shows that two particles that have interacted remain connected non-locally. A change in one particle immediately affects the other particle, even if separated by billions of light years, without any signal traversing space. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, because it violates our intuition about local causality. However, experiment after experiment has proven, the universe does not consist of separate parts that happen to interact. It is one interconnected system at the most fundamental level. Physicist David Bohm developed the interpretation of implicate order for quantum mechanics, the idea that the reality we see, explicate order, is a projection of a hidden order that is whole and undivided, implicate order. Like a hologram, where each fragment contains information about the entire image, so too does each part of the universe contain information about the whole. This resonates with ancient spiritual teachings from various traditions. Hindu Vedanta teaches Brahman, the absolute reality that is one, undivided, which manifests itself in the diversity of Maya, illusion. Taoism teaches Tao, the way that is one, source of yin and yang, from which the 10,000 things are born and return. Neoplatonism teaches the one, the transcendent principle that surpasses existence, from which the emanation of reality flows. Islamic Sufism teaches Wahdatul Wujud, unity of being, that all existence is a manifestation of the single being of Allah. The mystical philosopher Rumi wrote in the 13th century, You are a drop of water, yet you are also the ocean. How can a drop of water be separate from the ocean? This is not merely romantic metaphor, it is an accurate description of the part-whole relationship in quantum reality. Each drop of reality contains the ocean of information about the whole. Each electron, each photon, each particle is an expression of one universal quantum field. The number one appears as a shadow of oneness in the human world. In language, the first word a child learns is 1, the fundamental concept that enables all other knowledge. In consciousness, our subjective experience is one continuous stream. Although our minds experience thousands of sensations per second, consciousness itself is one. Modern neuroscience has discovered that although the brain has 86 billion neurons with trillions of connections, subjective experience is integrated. This is what is called the binding problem. How is distributed activity throughout the brain unified into one coherent experience? Awareness of the number one guides us to the principle of unity in ethics and society, that amid the diversity of race, culture, religion, ideology, humanity is one species, inhabiting one planet, sharing one biological and cosmic origin. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, is based on this premise: all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. The word equal is a mathematical moral acknowledgement. One human equals one human. There is no coefficient of superiority. True harmony only emerges when all returns to its source. In music, the most consonant chord is the octave, 2 notes with a frequency ratio of 2:1. When you play middle C, 261.63 Hz, and high C, 523.25 Hz, together, the ear does not hear 2 separate notes, the ear hears one note with harmonic richness. Physicist and musician Hermann von Helmholtz in the 19th century proved that the sensation of harmony occurs when sound wave frequencies synchronize, when they return to the same phase periodically. Similarly, in social life, conflict occurs when individuals or groups see themselves as separate entities with opposing interests. Peace occurs when we realize that all are part of one interdependent system. Harming another is harming oneself. Ecologist Barry Commoner formulated the first law of ecology: everything is connected to everything else. This is not idealism, it is systemic fact. And this is the core meaning of universal unity, that behind the diversity of forms, colors, sounds, and experiences, there is one fundamental substrate that supports everything. Like various waves in the ocean, there are small ripples, tsunamis, gentle waves, yet all are movements of the same water mass. Waves arise and disappear, yet the ocean remains. 7. Symbol of absolute unity, the number one as mirror of the absolute. The number one is the echo of eternity. Unlike other numbers that change when operated upon, 2 plus 2 becomes 4, 3 times 3 becomes 9. The number 1 remains whole in multiplicative operations. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1, unto infinity. This is a unique mathematical property, an identity that does not change despite being repeated without limit. This is a perfect analogy for the concept of eternity in philosophy, something that does not change despite the passage of time. Philosopher Parmenides, 5th century BC, taught that being is one, unchanging, and eternal. All changes we observe are perceptual illusions. Plato developed this into the theory of forms, that true reality is the world of eternal and unchanging ideas, while the physical world is a changing shadow. Modern mathematics confirms this intuition. Mathematical truth is eternal. The Pythagorean theorem was true in 500 BC, is true today, and will remain true 10,000 years from now. There is no expiration date for mathematical truth. When mathematician Andrew Wiles proved Fermat's last theorem in 1995, after 358 years unsolved, he did not create a new truth. He unveiled a truth that had always existed in the logical structure of numbers. From one point of consciousness, all numbers are born through repeated addition. Peano's axioms formulate this formally. 1. 1 is a natural number. 2. Every natural number n has a successor s, n. 3. No natural number has 1 as its successor, 1 is the beginning. 4. If two numbers have the same successor, then they are the same number. 5. Principle of mathematical induction. If a property is true for 1 and true for n implies true for n plus 1, then it is true for all natural numbers. From these 5 simple axioms, with 1 as the foundation, the entire theory of natural numbers is born. Then from natural numbers, we build integers, rationals, reals, complex numbers, and all mathematical structures. One fundamental axiom gives birth to infinite theorems. In philosophy, perfect existence must originate from a single entity that depends on nothing. This is the contingency argument developed by philosophers such as Avicenna, Ibn Sina, Thomas Aquinas, and Leibniz. 1. Premise 1. Everything that exists, exists because of itself, necessary, or because of something else, contingent. 2. Premise 2. If everything that exists is contingent, then there will be infinite regress. Each thing depends on another thing, ad infinitum. 3. Premise 3. Infinite regress in existential causality is impossible, because without foundation, nothing truly exists. 4. Conclusion. Therefore there must be at least one necessary being, an entity whose existence does not depend on anything, which becomes the source of existence for all that is contingent. In mathematical terminology, there must be an original one, a number not derived from any other number, which defines itself. And indeed, in Peano's axiomatic system, one is not defined recursively, it is a given, a fundamental postulate whose existence is assumed. In modern physics, the analogy appears in cosmic singularity. Before the Big Bang, there was no material to make the universe. Physicist Victor Stenger once argued that the universe emerged from nothing, because the total energy of the universe is zero, positive energy from matter is balanced by negative energy from gravity. However, this is semantic wordplay. Zero energy is not the same as absolute nothingness. The law of conservation of energy itself must already exist before energy can be summed to zero. Theoretical physicists like Alexander Vilenkin and Stephen Hawking proposed that the universe could spontaneously emerge from quantum fluctuations in the quantum vacuum. However, the quantum vacuum is not nothingness, it is a quantum field with zero-point energy, which already has complex mathematical structure. The laws of quantum mechanics, Schrödinger's equation, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, all of these must already exist in the metaphysical sense before the quantum vacuum can fluctuate. Thus, the fundamental question cannot be avoided: where do these laws come from? Physicist Paul Davies, in his book The Mind of God, 1992, acknowledges the laws of physics are remarkably faithful and stable. But where do these laws come from? If the universe can create itself, it must have existed, in some sense, before it existed, in order to create itself. This is clearly paradoxical. The only logical resolution is that the source of the laws of nature must be outside nature itself, something that is not subject to the laws of physics because it is the source of the laws of physics themselves. And in the digital era, all communication revolves around the simple dance between 1 exists and 0 does not exist. Every email you send, every video you watch, every financial transaction, all are combinations of two fundamental states, exists and does not exist. However, without interpretation, without protocol, without language, without algorithms, a string of ones and zeros is just random noise. Information only becomes meaningful when there is an interpretation system that gives meaning to it. This is a powerful analogy for the relationship between creation and creator. The universe is a text written in the language of mathematics, but texts do not create themselves, and language does not emerge without a speaker. Every line of computer code is written by a programmer. Every law of physics, written in the structure of the universe, there must be a writer who formulated it. Thus, the number 1 becomes a universal symbol that unites philosophy, science, and spirituality, a bridge between logic and faith, between science and universal unity. It is the meeting point between mathematical logic, 1 as the foundation of the number system, physical reality, singularity as the origin of the universe, subjective consciousness, unity of consciousness, universal ethics, unity of humanity, spirituality, symbol of the absolute. The number 1 is a mirror reflecting absolute unity, not unity itself, because numbers are abstractions, but the closest representation in language comprehensible to human reason. Conclusion of introduction, from wonder to awareness. We have begun this journey from the simplest place, water ripples, heartbeats, stars in the sky. Everyday phenomena so ordinary that we rarely ask, why is everything orderly? Then we dove deeper. We discovered that this order is universal, not just on Earth, but throughout galaxies billions of light years away. We discovered that this order is mathematical. It can be expressed in equations, formulas, and constants that never change. We discovered that all human civilization is built upon faith in this mathematical structure, from the planes we fly to the computers we use, from the music we hear to the medicine that saves our lives. Then we asked, where does this structure come from? And we found a surprising answer: everything begins with 1. From this one simple number, the entire number system is born. From one geometric point, all space unfolds. From one cosmic singularity, trillions of galaxies bloom. From one bit of information, the entire digital world is built. The number 1 is not merely a mathematical symbol, it is an existential statement: there is. It is the first explosion of existence against emptiness. It is the foundation of all that is measurable, all that is orderly, all that can be understood. Without it, there would be no mathematics, there would be no science, there would be no knowledge. But most profoundly, the number 1 is a mirror of absolute unity. It reminds us that behind this fascinating diversity, billions of stars, millions of species, billions of humans, there is one source, one principle, one harmony that supports everything. Like different waves, yet all are movements of one ocean. Like light that has a spectrum of colors, yet all are vibrations of one electromagnetic field. Like music that has thousands of melodies, yet all are composed from one fundamental scale. Philosophy, science, and spirituality, 3 domains of human knowledge often considered separate, meet at one point, the number 1. Philosophy teaches us about necessary being, an entity whose existence depends on nothing. Science shows us cosmic singularity, the starting point of all space and time. Spirituality guides us to the One, source of all things and final destination of all that exists. And all 3 perspectives say the same thing. From ancient Sumer that first drew the symbol for 1, to the modern digital world where trillions of devices communicate in the binary language of 1 and 0, the number 1 has stood as the axis of human existence. It is the constant in change, unity in diversity, simplicity that gives birth to complexity. Mathematics is the language of the universe, and the number 1 is its first word. Like a child learning to speak must master the first word before being able to utter sentences, so too must our understanding of reality begin with the number 1. Without understanding unity, we will never understand diversity. Without understanding the simple, we will never understand the complex. Without understanding origins, we will never understand purpose. This introduction is a gateway. It prepares the mind to step from the apparent world to the hidden world, from phenomena to essence, from effects to causes, from the created to the creator. If you have felt wonder when reading these pages, wonder at the beauty of mathematics, the majesty of the universe, the mystery of consciousness, then you have opened that gateway. Because wonder is the beginning of wisdom. Aristotle began his metaphysics with the sentence, "All men naturally desire to know, and the sign of this desire to know is wonder at things that appear ordinary." When we stop wondering, we stop learning. When we consider the world as just ordinary, we stop seeing the miracle within it. But who or what is the absolute? Is it merely an abstract principle, like logos in Greek philosophy or Tao in Chinese philosophy? Is it an impersonal force, like gravity or the laws of thermodynamics that operate without will? Or is it a conscious person, one who knows, one who wills, one who creates with purpose? These questions cannot be answered with mathematics alone. Mathematics brings us to the threshold. It shows us that the door exists, that there is something beyond the door, but to step inside, we need more than just equations. We need deep exploration of the nature of existence itself. After understanding the number 1 as the axis and mirror of oneness, we will now step into the realm of numbers themselves. If the introduction is like a gateway that opens consciousness, then Chapter 1 is the first step into the mathematical cosmos, a world filled with numbers, laws, and harmonies that reveal the secrets of life. In Chapter 1, we will explore: where does the number 1 come from? Is it created or discovered? What is the difference between O, the empty number, and absolute nothingness? Why does mathematics require the concept of there is nothing? How does 1 create 2, 3, 4? To infinity. What are the philosophical implications of this creation? Why don't mathematical laws change? What makes mathematical truth eternal? We will delve into the mysteries of zero and infinity, two concepts that seem opposite yet both point to that which transcends limits. We will explore space and time as mathematical constructs, and ask, if space-time was created in the Big Bang, what exists outside space and before time? We will analyze the fundamental constants of physics, mysterious numbers like the speed of light, c, gravitational constant, g, Planck's constant, h, fine structure constant, alpha, whose values cannot be derived from any theory, yet must be precisely the values they have for the universe to exist. We will ask, why do these constants have the values they have? Is this cosmic coincidence, or deliberate design? We will discuss the paradox of infinity, how the concept of infinity, that cannot be visualized yet is fundamental in mathematics, shows the limits of human reason's ability to understand the absolute. And we will see how infinity in mathematics is a window to the properties of the transcendent. But most importantly, we will do all this with pure logic, scientific evidence, and philosophical arguments, without dogma, without faith-based assumptions, without forcing conclusions. We will let the evidence speak, let logic guide, let reality reveal itself. Because truth does not require defense, it only requires revelation. The world has long sought a bridge between science and spirituality, between reason and faith, between the measurable and the transcendent. Many consider the two irreconcilable, that science speaks of how, while religion speaks of why, and these two domains will never meet. However, mathematics proves that this separation is an illusion. How and why are two sides of one question. Structure and purpose cannot be separated. When we understand how the universe is structured with perfect mathematical precision, we cannot avoid the question of why it is structured that way. Physicist Eugene Wigner in 1960 wrote a famous essay, The Unreasonable Effectiveness of Mathematics in the Natural Sciences. He marveled that mathematics developed purely abstractly, without intention for physical application, turns out to describe the universe with astonishing accuracy. Complex numbers, I equals square root minus 1, were developed in the 16th century as an intellectual game, but turned out to be fundamental in quantum mechanics. Non-Euclidean geometry was developed in the 19th century as abstract exploration, but turned out to describe the structure of space-time in general relativity. Why does mathematics work? Why do equations written on a blackboard by humans predict the behavior of galaxies billions of light-years away? Wigner concluded, the miracle of the appropriateness of the language of mathematics for the formulation of the laws of physics is a wonderful gift which we neither understand nor deserve. But is this really a miracle in the supernatural sense? Or is this a profound hint that mathematics and physical reality have the same source, that both are expressions of one fundamental order that precedes both? This is what we will explore in the following chapters. Not to prove a particular religion, but to unveil the ontological structure of reality and let its philosophical implications speak for themselves. One final warning before we go further. This intellectual journey will not be easy. There will be concepts that challenge our intuition, like infinity having different levels, or particles existing in two places simultaneously, or time running slower near large masses. There will be questions that shake the foundations of our understanding, like, are our choices truly free if the laws of physics are deterministic? Or, if all matter is composed of energy, and energy has no substance, then what exactly is matter? However, truth is never promised to be comfortable, it is only promised to be true. And if we are serious in the search for truth, we must be willing to question assumptions we have held for a long time. Follow logic even when it takes us to unexpected places. Acknowledge the limitations of human reason when facing the absolute. Distinguish between not knowing and unknowable. Philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, "The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure while the intelligent are full of doubt." Intellectual doubt is not weakness, it is a sign of honesty. We must dare to say, "I don't know," when we truly don't know. But we must also dare to say, "This is the most rational conclusion based on available evidence," when evidence leads us there. So let us begin. You have opened the gateway by reading this introduction. You have seen that mathematics is not merely a tool, but a window to the fundamental structure of reality. You have felt that the number one is not merely a symbol, but a mirror of the absolute unity that supports all that exists. Now, let us step deeper. In Chapter 1, we will ask, do numbers exist? This seemingly simple question turns out to be one of the most controversial problems in the philosophy of mathematics, and its answer has profound implications about the nature of reality itself. Are numbers discovered or created by the human mind? If numbers are only mental creations, why do they describe the universe perfectly? But if numbers exist objectively, where do they exist? The number 7 is not in physical space. You won't find it with a telescope or microscope. Does it exist in a Platonic world, separate from the physical world? Or does it exist in a higher mind that precedes the material universe? These questions are not merely abstract intellectual games. The answers we give will determine our view of the nature of reality, of the relationship between mind and matter, of the possibility of the transcendent. The world needs this book. In an era where science and religion are often presented as enemies, where materialism and spirituality are considered incompatible, where reason and faith are separated into different boxes, this book is a bridge. Not a bridge that forces. Not a bridge that twists facts to support predetermined conclusions. Rather, a bridge built with bricks of logic, cemented with scientific evidence, and designed with solid philosophical architecture. Every person, regardless of religious background, ideology, or belief, can walk on this bridge. Because mathematics is a universal language. 1 + 1 = 2 in every culture, every continent, every era. No one rejects the Pythagorean theorem for theological reasons. No one disputes the law of gravity for ideological considerations. And if mathematics is universal, then its philosophical implications must also be universal. So be prepared. Be prepared to see numbers with new eyes, not as tools for calculating groceries, but as cosmic hieroglyphs containing the secrets of existence. Be prepared to see equations with a new perspective, not as boring formulas in textbooks, but as poetry written by the universe for itself. Be prepared to see the universe with new awareness, not as a blind machine operating without purpose, but as a symphony played with perfect precision, where every note has meaning, where every movement is intentional. And be prepared to discover that our search for mathematics, ultimately, is a search for the great mathematician. In the name of the Most One, from whom one gives birth to all numbers, and to whom all numbers return, let us begin this journey.